All right, so today we're diving into some serious drama surrounding Bobrisky.
Oh, yeah.
A Nigerian public figure,
Right.
And we're basing this whole thing on the Quiz FG Mega Podcast, episode 3.
Okay.
They did a whole deep dive on Bobrisky,
Right.
legal trouble, accusations, even an attempted escape,
Wow.
and a health scare.
Seriously.
It's crazy.
So is Bobrisky really above the law or what?
Well, let's start with with what started all this mess.
Okay.
Bobrisky was, get this, bragging about being in like a VIP hotel cell.
What?
Yeah, after a Fulani family
Oh, wow.
made some accusations against him.
Right. And that's a whole other...
Huge ethnic group in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Lots of history there.
Exactly.
But to make it even spicier, very dark man got involved.
Very dark man. He wasn't just some random guy, was he?
Oh, no.
wait.
He was actually sticking up for someone who'd lent Bobrisky a bunch of money.
Oh, I see.
Like 5 million, Ninai.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
So what was the loan for?
Well, supposedly to help Bobrisky with some money laundering charges.
But
then
what?
Bobrisky's out there flashing cash,
Oh, no.
not paying the loan back, it seems.
That's not a good look, especially with those money laundering charges hanging over his head.
Right. It just makes it seem like some people think they're above the law.
Exactly.
Especially with what happened next.
Oh, what happened next?
A Nigerian lawmaker actually summoned Bobrisky to court.
Oh, wow.
And Bobrisky just refused to show up.
Bold move.
Right.
Yeah, especially in Nigeria where respect for authority is a big deal.
Huge.
Makes you wonder what's going on there.
Well, and especially because Bobrisky's always on social media.
Right.
Posting constantly.
It's almost like, trying to control the narrative.
Right.
Like we see with a lot of public figures when they're in trouble.
Exactly. Damage control on social media.
Yeah, trying to spin things their way.
And then things got even wilder.
Oh no, what now?
Bobrisky tried to escape.
Get out of here. Seriously.
They were caught at the boarding trying to get into Benin Republic.
Wow, like they were running away.
It sounds like something out of a movie.
Definitely a plot twist.
Right. And then right after this escape attempt, news breaks that Bobrisky's in the hospital.
Oh no, what happened?
Complications from surgery.
What kind of surgery?
The surgery was for artificial breasts,
Oh, okay.
which adds a whole other layer
Yeah, for sure.
because,
I mean, that's already controversial, right?
oh, very much so.
Especially in a society like Nigeria where those kinds of things are,
Sensitive, yeah.
Yep.
And the timing of this health scare.
Right. It is suspicious, isn't it?
People are skeptical, for sure.
I mean, is it real?
Is it a way to delay the legal stuff?
Right.
It wouldn't be the first time a public figure in Nigeria used that tactic.
Oh, for sure not.
We've seen it before with some politicians even.
Right.
But, if Bobrisky's health issues are real.
Of course, then that's serious.
That's serious.
And deserves attention.
Absolutely.
But it shouldn't be a way to avoid responsibility if there's
Okay.
been any wrongdoing.
Right.
There needs to be accountability.
That's what the Quiz FG Mega Podcast is saying, too.
Oh, they are.
They're really stressing that balance between making sure Bobrisky gets the medical care needed,
Yeah.
but also making sure there are consequences for any illegal actions.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Because if someone can just,
Just get away with breaking the law because they're famous or whatever.
Exactly, yeah.
It's a bad example.
Totally.
It makes people lose faith in the system.
Right. Like, what's the point of having laws then?
Exactly. It's about fairness.
For everyone.
Everyone.
And, we're still waiting for updates on this whole thing.
Oh, really?
But it's definitely got a lot of people watching
For sure.
to see what happens next.
Yeah, no kidding.
So we'll
see.
see how it plays out.
Definitely.
But it's a complicated situation.
It is.
It's a lot to unpack.
For sure.
And we're going to get into even more of it in part 2 of this deep dive.
Okay, looking forward to it.
So stay tuned.
All right. It's a wild story, right?
Totally. And the Quiz FG Mega Podcast,
Yeah.
they made some really interesting points.
Okay.
They were comparing Bobrisky to other public figures who seem to think they can,
Play by their own rules.
manipulate the system.
Yeah, like they're special.
Exactly. And they were saying, this isn't just about Bobrisky. It's about
Bigger than that.
It's about the rule of law in Nigeria.
Yeah, absolutely.
Making sure everyone is held accountable.
No matter who they are.
Exactly. And they were saying this whole thing could really impact
Yeah.
how people see the justice system in Nigeria.
Right. If it seems like
someone can get away with stuff.
just because they're famous or rich,
Exactly.
it really undermines the whole system.
Makes people lose trust.
Yeah.
And the podcast, they were really emphasizing
What are we saying?
that the authorities need to be transparent.
Oh,
and
okay.
accountable in this case.
So people can see that things are being done fairly.
Exactly. The public needs to see that.
It's about trust.
And speaking of fairness,
Yeah?
the podcast also got into
What's that?
those money laundering charges.
Oh, right.
I
Right.
thought that was really interesting.
Why is that?
Because money laundering,
It's a big deal, right?
it's complicated.
It is, yeah.
Serious implications.
Definitely.
Could you maybe break it down for our listener?
So money laundering is basically when you try to
Yeah.
hide where your money really came from.
Like make dirty money look clean.
Yeah, exactly. You're trying to make it look like it came from legit sources.
Right, like it's not from something illegal.
Yeah, and it often involves
Yeah.
all these tricky financial transactions.
Oh, so it can be hard to track.
Really hard.
And with Bobrisky, it seems like maybe there were attempts to hide the source of the money.
Right. Maybe through investments or something.
Yeah, that's what they were saying.
Interesting.
And the podcast was really stressing that
What's that?
if these allegations are true, they need to be investigated.
Oh, absolutely.
Really thoroughly.
Yeah.
They said it's so important for law enforcement to make it clear that
This kind of stuff won't fly.
money laundering won't be tolerated.
No matter who you are.
Exactly.
And it's not just about, punishing one person.
Right. It's about the bigger picture.
Yeah, because these financial crimes, they can really hurt the economy.
Oh, wow.
People lose trust in the banks.
Right.
It can even fuel more crime.
So it's serious stuff.
It is, yeah.
And going back to Bobrisky's, legal strategy,
Okay.
the podcast talked about how they've been using social media.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because social media, it can be so powerful.
It is. You can reach so many people.
Yeah, shape the narrative.
And in Bobrisky's case, it seems like they're using it to...
To kind of project this image of defiance.
Oh, okay.
Even though they're facing these legal challenges.
Interesting.
And the podcast was saying that while that might work,
To get sympathy.
yeah, from some followers, it doesn't really address
The real legal problems.
the real legal problem.
Yeah, like
It's like trying to win on social media.
instead of in court.
Exactly.
You can't just tweet your way out of legal trouble.
You're right.
It's not that simple.
And they were actually saying
What's that?
that all of the social media stuff could actually hurt Bobrisky in the long run.
Really?
Because it might look like they're trying to circumvent the justice system
Oh, I see it.
or even manipulate public opinion.
Yeah, not good.
So overall,
Yeah.
what did the podcast think about,
About how the case is being handled.
yeah, by the legal system?
Well, they did say there are concerns
Okay.
about whether the system can be truly impartial.
Right, with someone like Bobrisky.
Yeah, someone so high profile.
Yeah.
But they also said
What's that?
that this is a chance
For what?
for the Nigerian justice system
Okay.
to show that they're committed to
To fairness.
fairness and transparency.
Yeah.
They said if the system can make sure Bobrisky gets the medical care,
Yeah.
but also make sure there's due process
Right.
and accountability,
For any wrongdoing.
it would send a strong message
About what?
about the rule of law in Nigeria,
Right. That no one's above the law.
no matter how rich or famous they are.
Exactly.
And that's important.
It's a message that resonates everywhere.
Absolutely. It's about justice.
And equality.
Yeah, for everyone.
And it reminds us that we all have a responsibility
What's that?
to hold those in power accountable.
That's a good point.
This whole case has really gotten people talking
It has,
about
yeah.
accountability, about justice.
Yeah, for sure.
And, the Quiz FG Mega Podcast brought up something else I thought was interesting. Social media's role in all of this.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's been huge, hasn't it?
It has,
On the one hand, it's given Bobrisky this platform.
Right, to speak directly to people,
Exactly, to control the narrative.
to get their side of the story out there.
Yeah, and to rally support from fans.
Right, but at the same time,
But then,
social media also puts everything under a microscope.
oh, yeah.
Every little thing gets scrutinized.
Every move, every statement.
It's a double-edged sword, for
Yeah,
sure.
you can reach a lot of people, but you're also constantly being watched.
And judged.
And the podcast, they made this interesting point
Oh, yeah, what was that?
about how this case could impact influencer culture in Nigeria.
Okay, interesting.
Like, could this be a turning point?
a turning point for how influencers are seen
Yeah, and how they're held accountable
for what they do,
for what they say, for their actions.
online and offline.
Both. Exactly.
That's a good point.
I mean, we've already seen more and more influencers.
Right. Yeah. Facing consequences for their behavior.
Right. Getting into legal trouble.
Exactly. And maybe this case.
Could push that even further.
Yeah. And I think it really highlights
That.
the responsibility that comes with being an influencer.
Oh, for sure.
You're not just speaking to your followers.
You have a wider impact.
A wider impact. Exactly.
It's setting an example.
And this case,
Yeah.
with all its twists and turns,
Definitely.
I think it's a good reminder for everyone
For what?
to think critically,
Oh, yeah.
especially when we're online.
So much information out there.
It's easy to get caught up in the drama.
Yeah, the sensationalism. We gotta step back.
Take a breath.
Look at all sides.
Consider different perspectives.
Exactly.
And be skeptical, too.
Oh, definitely.
Don't just believe everything you read.
Especially on social media.
Yeah. Check your sources.
Think for yourself.
Form your own opinions.
Exactly.
Don't just follow the crowd.
Well, I think it's safe to say this deep dive into the Bobrisky case has given our listeners a lot to think about.
For sure.
We've covered the legal stuff,
The complexity.
the whole social media aspect,
how it plays into everything.
the ethical questions,
Definitely.
and the bigger picture.
What it means for Nigeria,
Exactly.
Land even.
So as we wrap this up,
Yeah.
what's your final thought for our listeners?
I would say keep following this story.
As it develops.
See how it all plays out.
Yeah.
Pay attention to what happens in court, to how public opinion changes,
And think about what this case really tells us
about power, influence, and accountability.
in our world today.
Yeah, it's a fascinating case study.
Great advice. And you know what?
What's that?
Maybe we'll revisit this whole thing down the line
Oh, yeah. That'd be interesting.
when there are more developments.
See how it all unfolds.
But until then, keep learning.
Keep questioning,
Keep diving deep.
and we'll see you next time.
Sounds good. See you later. See you later.